But I think if you look at what Bitcoin, the promise of Bitcoin and what it can do, I think it's still exciting, and we're very optimistic on that.
Hey guys, Jeff here from Axel, and I'm meeting all sorts of great people here in Toronto. Andrew Kiguel is the CEO of Hut8, which is based here in Toronto, is that right?
Yes.
Tell people about Hut8 and what you guys do exactly.
Sure. So I was a banker for a long time, and last year when I started talking to people about owning Bitcoin, realized that for a lot of people it was very hard for them to find ways to buy it.
Sure.
So either they couldn't buy in the amounts that they wanted to buy, or they were just uncomfortable with providing things like their passport or their income information or their banking information to a company online. And so we created Hut8 to give people direct exposure to Bitcoin via a publicly traded company. And that's what we created in Hut8.
And how big is the demand there? Because I understand that that was a huge roadblock for a lot of people who obtained the Bitcoin, was to find places that actually take it.
So do you mean in terms of taking it to use it? Like we mine it, so we're the largest miner of Bitcoin in Canada. We're the largest cryptocurrency miner here, and probably one of the top 5 in North America. And what we essentially do is we mine Bitcoin and we store it on behalf of our investors.
Bitcoin was really the pioneer in this space, right?
It was the first cryptocurrency, yes.
And everybody saw how low it started from and how high it went. And it's been on a little bit of a roller coaster since then, but it's still trading very high.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what happened was, in my opinion, there almost became this euphoria around cryptocurrency. The excitement, people couldn't contain it towards this time last year all the way through to the end of the year. And in December, it hit its all-time high of 20,000 per coin. There was a lot of, I think, promises made by people in terms of like Bitcoin's going to 50,000, it's going to $1 million. There was so much of this talk, and when that didn't materialize, I think a lot of people pulled back in their interest level on Bitcoin. But I think it's always had a sense of volatility. But I think if you look at what Bitcoin, the promise of Bitcoin and what it can do, I think it's still exciting, and we're very optimistic on that.
What about what Bitcoin has launched? All of these other companies, all of these other people launching their own tokens. The market has become very saturated with that, and a lot of dreamers too, for sure. People wanting to create their own economies. At Axel, we're creating our own economy with our own customer base, Axel token and Axel blockchain. So what do you think is going to happen in the cryptocurrency market? Do you think that eventually it'll stabilize with all these new players coming on board?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to, there's so many different tokens out there. I can't speak to all of them. I mean, they're all there, and hopefully to address some value. I think it will mature as every industry does. If you look back to the early days of the internet, there was all kinds of things that were proposed and didn't happen. But out of that wave, you got the Microsofts, the Facebooks, the Apples, so I think the technology will continue to evolve, and it's hard for us today to imagine where that's going to take us. But blockchain technology itself is disruptive by nature, because you're essentially taking control that is centralized, and you're decentralizing it by making it available to a bunch of people where there needs to be consensus on the validity of whatever it is that's being transacted. So it's going to fundamentally change the way value is stored and passed to other people.
I gave you an indication of what we do and what we're trying to do with our customer base, ultimately giving them complete freedom over their digital assets, allowing them to monetize it without third parties involved. What are your thoughts about the need for that in our society? Do you see a need for content creators and just your average individuals to say goodbye to the companies like Amazon and YouTube, the ones they're all familiar with and comfortable with, and do something new where they have total control?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's the ethos of blockchain, which is to put the control back amongst the community of users. So I think, in going back and talking about the technology being disruptive, this is one of the ways, and what you're mentioning, in that the technology can be disruptive, right? Right,
absolutely. What do you think?
Positively disruptive.
Yeah. What do you think blockchain will do for the world?
I mean, look, that's a very big question, and we don't have enough time here to go through everything. But like I said, I think it's a function of moving things from a centralized authority, like a central bank, or maybe head of a government, whatever it is, and putting the power back into the community of people that use that service. So whether maybe that's in advertising or social media or in the monetary system, I think it's a vastly new and innovative way of thinking about how things are validated and controlled.
You said you were in investment banking for a while.
Yep, 21 years.
Should the big banks be worried about what's happening?
I think what they are worried. So, but I think they're worried on a different level. Number one, I think they're worried about how do they control this. So here's a new monetary system that's evolving and beyond that. And it's a function for them is how do they stay in the game. And so I think every bank that I know of has a blockchain internal team that's evaluating how do we control this amongst other people, but also how do we integrate it into what we're doing so that they don't become the dinosaurs of the financial age, and in 10 years they become, by not keeping in pace with technology.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your time at the summit.
Thank you.
And keep it right here on Axel for more to come.